Welcome once again to Artflakes. We are still dealing with the Asian world through Mitali Chakravarty. Remember last time we could not finish because the Asian world is so big that it's impossible to get total exploration of this world through one person in just 30 minutes. So that's why we are going to deal with this same writer, Mitali Chakravarty. And we shall be exploring our own world. And the last time we discussed in detail our own life with the world around her, China, Singapore, and India. But we want to see who is this lady through her writing. Meet me on the other side of the studio and we shall go deeply into our borderless world. See you there. Thank you for joining us once again. As I've told you, on the other side of the studio, we shall be exploring the world of Mitali again. Because Asian world is broad. We cannot use a show alone to explore 3 countries through one writer, Mitali, a borderless woman. So we'll have to have more session with her to explore the Asian world better. So this is why we're coming again with Mitali to explore with us the literary world of Asia. And that is going to be explored in detail through our own literary world. We have explored the Asian world in the first part. We want to enter our own world to also know more about the Asian world. Or if possible, beyond Asia, since he's a borderless writer. So I want to start with something different this time. As if you can remember vividly, I was talking about your world. You switch from one part of the world to another. This time I want to ask you something striking. I believe you will, I want it to be very clear in this part. Journalism. You made mention of the fact that you studied journalism. And you quitted along the line. Something must have pushed you to do that. Why did you quit journalism for creative writing?
I closed the chapter of journalism because I felt, to be frank, that it was a vulturous profession. We were preying on other people's sadness but doing nothing about it. And one of the experiences I had in my own life was responsible for it. A couple of experiences, not one. So, I mean, I couldn't quite take to it. Also, I found that it was a career that they made to earn money and fame. Very few wrote, in our times, very few write for the passion of writing. They write for the passion of, you know, doing other things. I mean, if you look at it, I've not gone totally off it because I was the editor for Kitab. Now I'm the founding editor of Borderless, which hopes to get all the people across borders together. So that is not journalism, but creative writing. But I feel creative writers have more output than journalists because they are actually able to suggest a better world. I think it is important for people to have a vision of a better world for the future, especially when they come back from a day of hard work, reality, and distasteful things, which is what happens very often at jobs. So if you read a newspaper or a magazine, you'll be back in that world.
I want to get this one very clear. Do you mean that there's no much freedom in journalism compared to creative writing? Is that what you are telling us?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Creative writing has so much freedom. You can't write poetry in journalism. You know? You can't really, I mean, poetry is different. You yourself are a poet. You know that, right? You write poetry, but that is not a show that you are recording for something. So poetry is different from journalism. I'm mainly I have more than 500 poems. So, of which maybe less than 100 are published. So, the actually, once you publish a poem, it's like you have lost it to the world. So, to an extent, it goes out into the world. It's no longer yours. So, that is, of course, there, and then I forget them. So that is the this thing. But yeah, journalism is very different from creative writing, even essay writing, I would say, because journalism, you have to be objective. In writing, you can be objective. So as I mean, if I'm very angry and I write a poem, I would never think of publishing it, or I would never think of sharing it till I've worked off the anger in it. You know, the reactionary part of poetry, uh, you maybe it's part of my journalistic training that comes in, but I feel that you have to be responsible for how your readers will emote. So if you write something very fiery and publish it, you would have a whole lot of people who are angry, people who read it and who might agree with you, who you've converted, who would be angry. Do you really want an angry mob? Or do you want, so writers have a responsibility too, but we can choose the responsibility. In journalism, you're not allowed to choose. When we were taught journalism, uh, our our professor in Times Research Foundation, our professor was from AP. He was a journalist with AP earlier, American Press or whatever, Associated Press it's called, you know, US one. And he was with ABC also for some time. And he used to tell us good news is no news. As a writer, I can make news of good news. As a writer, I can look forward to things. You will also notice that when I write in my poetry, even if I talk of bleak things, at the end, I can twist and bring around something that is a very positive emotion. So I personally feel that it is important to have that positive output, for people to see that there is hope. And that is, I think, the most important message that a writer can give, because a writer is a visionary. A writer is not a person who reports. A reporter is a person who reports, a journalist. You report the truth. You report how many deaths, how many lives, but they don't go beyond that. That gap is filled by the writer. And sometimes you have editors who are allowed to do that.
There's something you say that one of your instructor, not you per se, what you were, while you were discussing, you said that one of your instructors said that good news is no news. This is one thing I hate, and this is one thing I fight against in journalism. Anyway, as an expert in the area of journalism too, positivity can also be displayed for the viewers or for our readers at home as journalists. We should not be selling negativism through journalism alone. We can balance these two and still get our markets in place. Anyway, you also mentioned the fact that there's not much freedom. I wouldn't say that I won't agree with you holistically, because feature writing and editorial, in these two parts in journalism, you can explore, you can convey your mind vividly. Would you say that it's not possible to do this in feature writing and editorial?
Yeah, feature writing is, but I personally feel I was doing features, but and I enjoyed doing features. Actually, I went into mafia areas in Bihar and I did features. But when I came away, that actually got me my scholarship to Oslo University. When I came away, at the end of the day, I've written a story about it also, which of course is just lying in my blog. But I ended up feeling that by bringing this out, by writing about them, this feature, how have I helped them? So, except for travel pieces, which I still write and very much enjoy writing, I did not think that journalism was the right thing for me, because I felt guilty about having used their pain their distress, and they kept the article in the university archive. So I don't know why they did it, but they kept it. So I ended up feeling that, have I used these people for myself? I mean, I could not help them in any way. By writing that, did I really help them? You know? So this is pretty much the kind of thing that comes up. So when you are doing feature writing, unless you are, I did one feature in which a government official lost his job. I did, if when I did arts and theater or travel, it's okay. But if I don't do arts and theater, but go into hard journalism, and then I do features also, there is always that part. And while it gives me experience, um, I don't know if my writing will be good for them or bad for them. You know, will it help them or won't it? So that frightens, that freaks you out. That have I harmed them in some way? So that is there.
Oh, all right. I've got you. I got you. Yeah. Let's go now into your creative world. You have explored that part. Now let's go back to creative writing or your own creative world of arts. Borderless. Tell us about this initiative, your new initiative called Borderless. What is it about this journal?
Okay, borderless started because even Kitab has borders. It projects Asian literature. For me, the world is very, very borderless. It is a world that is, you know, your mind is like a breeze that blows, and ideas are like air. So when all of us read the same thing, but what we see is a whole bunch of borders drawn among literature, among countries, and all of it causes distress because these groups become exclusive. So I am looking for an inclusive magazine which will include all kind of people, cultures, issues that at least I would consider serious, and I would want to put that together under a magazine. How big it will be is up to the writers and readers. It is not my magazine, it is their magazine. I am only for providing a platform, like you're providing me a platform. How big it becomes depends on the person who, you know, works with it. So if I get more contributors, more variety, like if you contribute a poem as a jungle poet, yes, I'm getting to Africa. That's fantastic, you know. That's where mankind started. So the original home of mankind. So that's exciting. When I get writers from other places, it's exciting. Different opinions, different mindsets, different viewpoints. So everything is welcome. And but all this, I would still head towards a very positive view. I mean, the writers should have a positive outlook. It should not be a negative outlook. Unfortunately, I was going through some poetry which I realized I couldn't use because this was from Bangladesh, because I realized that he was just talking negatively through the whole poem and using foul words. That is not poetry, you know. So I told him, I'm sorry, I can't use it. Then he wanted to know the reason. Then I told him that to me, poetry is something that should elevate or give a better alternative. It should be something when people read, at the end of it, they feel relieved. Why do we love Tagore's poems? Why do we love Wordsworth's poems? These are poems we know by heart. Even T.S. Eliot, you know, he was in the Bloomsbury group, which was deep and dark. But you see, T.S. Eliot, his poetry is not that deep and dark. If you go into his this thing, he was a Catholic. And he stayed with Catholicism. He converted to Catholicism and he stayed with Catholicism. And his poetry and all, yes, it does have the darkness and all kinds of things in it. But even then, I would say it does not, you know, um, show me things that are only bad. It shows me a lot of, it makes me think. So even if you're critiquing something, poetry should make you think. So if it's just poetry that critiques and expresses anger, to me, it is not poetry, it is a protest. So, I mean, you can have a protest and you can have poetry, but I publish poetry, I don't publish protests. So that is the difference.
So, what kind of creative writing do you accept for publication in Borderless?
Okay, what kind of borderless I'm talking about is basically a world with borders to create positive mindsets. I am not talking
Okay.
of a borderless world where people will come and clutter it up with fear and anxiety. I want to woo back readers. Like you told me that most people like to watch YouTube. Yes, they do. But you know what? I prefer to read. My kids prefer to read. I am a very bad learner on YouTube. I go up to sleep watching a movie. But if you give me a book to read, I can finish it really fast. So it is what you train your senses. So if we give readers some hope, something more positive than what YouTube is offering, because YouTube has a lot of dark things also nowadays, then maybe to us. And my intent is that I give the readers a free platform to read where they can read what would calm them, what would soothe them, what would give them happy thoughts, what would help them get over their struggles and become larger as human beings. I mean, we are all a human race. We are not isolates, you know. I personally do not, I mean, if you ask me, I hated reading Kulchote. Salman Rushdie's Kuchote, it was like a verbal diarrhea. That's not a book. To me, even if they give it an award, that is not a book. So for me, it's difficult to read. So I would want to give a person a book that they could read. I mean, to me, um, maybe yeah, I stick to writers like Jane Austen, P.G. Woodhouse. They're very old. But even modern writers, there are a lot of them who are not bad, you know. If you, like, I can tell you, Suchan, Isa, they are great writers. Similarly, in India, you have writers who are very good. I don't remember all the names, but you have writers who are very good. And they, lot of them, like I have this young girl called Rakhi Dalal. She actually is a fantastic writer, but for whatever reason, she's not been able to publish. Today, I'm carrying an essay on Kamu in Borderless for her. And she had done a beautiful short story, which we carried in Kitab on Sunday. So it is for writers like this, and this is a very positive, you know, kind of person who's giving very positive mindsets. Similarly, Mark Nair, Desmond, they've all contributed. They have fantastic poetry. So I want that there. So, you know, it is basically things that people can read. I have got some of the poems in my in Borderless, which are really fantastic. So, and they've come. Some are from Bangladesh, some are from India, some are from Singapore, some are from US. I even had some Irish guy write a beautiful piece. So that is what I'm saying. And people are writing back and saying that this is amazing, this piece. So this is the kind of thing I want to do. Get writers like this together. And what does that man show? He shows the Irish guy. He shows that his world is actually, you know, he is actually, it's called a fight, the story. And he shows that the is man more important or elements? How a man survives in a storm with a hurt magpie inside the house, and how he, and you know, there's this opposition and this thing. So it is an interesting thing, and this overrides all borders. It's something you have to do, I have to do, anybody who's in a storm will face, you know, any country. So this is the kind of stuff I'm looking for. So which is really beyond borders, and which kind of cultures, yes, I'm very interested in exhibiting. Like we had a Sohana Manzoor's short story as a starting for our this thing. She's one of the people on the editorial board. She's written a short story called Parul and the Potato Prince. So it's very typical Bangladeshi, but you know, it reminded me of a O. Henry, because it was very sweet and it had a surprise twist at the end. I won't spoil it for you because you must read the story yourself. You have my links. You must read the story for yourself.
Sure, I will.
And then you have, you know, you have a whole bunch of writers out there who are so fantastic. I mean, you see Sarita Janamani, she's sitting in Vienna and she's writing beautiful poetry and she's like a huge support to me. You know, she, Dustin, Sohana, all of them, all the editorial board, even Namrata, she's going to be the next editor of Kitab. She will take over. So she does beautiful reviews. So, and she's also an author. She's also to be found online, but no one knows her. So, but she writes well. So these are the kind of people I want to bring together, not very famous people like, you know, the big names in literature, because they have enough of a platform. They don't need us. I mean, today, why would I publish Dan Brown or J.K. Rowling? Maybe a review by somebody on them. But why would I publish their book, you know, their excerpts from their book? Yes, I would get readers, but they would get that anywhere. They would get that kind of stuff anywhere. So mine has a niche where it's getting writers from all over the world in a borderless world, generating positive ideas and positive thoughts.
Thank you for that exploration. Before we go to the second part of this show, I want us to go for a break.
Hello out there. Tune in to CBA TV, the voice of East Africa and beyond. There's so many people around the world who are watching along with you.
Welcome back to the second part of this wonderful show, Artflakes. So, Mitali, I was actually thinking that your Borderless Journal is a platform for everyone from any part of the globe. But I think you are proving me wrong now. Are you saying that your Borderless is censored one? It's you still censor what people convey. It's not that you allow any publication, I mean, any form of creative writing to get published in Borderless.
If you think of negative outcomes, they automatically draw borders. When you say, okay, I am this, you are that. You are drawing, even when you say I'm a man, you are a woman, you are drawing a border. So I don't want that. I mean, I have essays on feminism and all that, but you know.
Oh, now I understand what you're talking about. So you mean borderless for positivity, borderless for cultural exhibition, and perhaps borderless for the unsung creative writers across the globe, not only for those who have already established themselves. That's good to know. I feel viewers at home must have got this message. If you are interested in publishing your work, you can always send in your writing. But think of the word of positivity if you want your work to be published in Borderless. There's one question I will not be happy with myself if I don't ask you this. From the way you've been talking, I could pinpoint that you are interested in writing for women. Are you going to say you are a feminist writer, or will you call yourself a feminist writer or not? Or how would you describe yourself in this context? You are borderless or a feminist, because you can't be two. Either you are one way borderless, where you don't care about other one unit of life or the other, or you get into feminism. Who are you as a writer? Are you a feminist?
No, I'm a borderless writer. I write of anybody who's in trouble. Yes, I am doing a book on violence against women with 5 other ladies, and we are looking at, we have a couple of publishers interested. It's with one of the publishers now. We have almost 50 or more voices of women across South Asia. Sarita, who's also the PEN Austria General Secretary, she told me that it was better to focus only on South Asia as an area because everywhere the issues were different. We are doing just South Asia. So we are not including Singapore or Malaysia in it because the issues faced here by women are different from the issues faced in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, this region. So our focus is that region. So yes, we are doing that. And the reason I did that was when I was in India, my father died last year. I was settling property issues. There was a vet who was raped and burnt, and it came in the news, and I just started crying because I couldn't believe it. I grew up in an India in the 1980s, which was safe. Yes, there were people who EFTs, there were patriarchal values, but it was not, I mean, going on a bike to buy something and coming back and getting raped. I mean, this is crazy. This is bizarre. So that is what made me think that we need to do this. And there is some amount of, I think, parenting is to be held responsible for this, especially the mothers, because they tell men they are macho. How come our sons, our husbands, our brother-in-laws, our cousins don't do it? You know, why is it that it is other people, and why is it they're doing it? They're doing it obviously because they have the wrong message from while growing up. They have grown up. So there is a need for deep rooted change in mindset, which is one of the reasons that we decided to do this book. So I have poetry on rape, but I can't help that. And it started before this incident. That is when I realized doing isolated poems on rape was not going to make a difference. So what we've done is we've got South Asian writers together, you know, from all over the world. About 50, 60 women who were willing to give, because a lot of women, mind you, are scared to give. Like in Bangladesh, people are scared to write poetry about rape because they get killed. So they're scared to give even stories on this. So it has been so difficult to get writers. They have all these patriarchal issues. They have a lot of issues. I've heard from my friends, but they don't tell you. We have no entries whatsoever from Nepal. No entries. I've tried contacting writers. They won't write. They won't respond. You can send them 10 emails. They won't respond. From India, at least the women have a voice. Even from Pakistan, women have a voice. But you know, from Nepal, it is very bad. Bangladesh, it's high risk, but there are women who are willing to take the risk. I have Para Ghaznavi, Sohana Manzoor, and there's another lady, Ellie something from there. So they are willing to take the risk. But from majority of the people, they are not willing to take a risk from Bangladesh. Because bloggers get killed. If you actually go and Google in the internet, I Googled to check whether these women were saying the right thing. And then I realized it's true. Somebody sent me a poem about housewife's issues, that she's bored of cooking. So I said, so she's bored of cooking, let her write. And ask her husband to cook. Why is she not doing? I mean, she has to convey that her husband is not willing to do that. She's even scared to do that. So if you don't convey that, then what's the point of saying anything? So to have the courage to come up and say, and to have a supportive family who will say, okay, we are proud to see you do this, is also important. Luckily for me, I have that support from my family, from my friends, from my in-laws, from the world around me. But not everyone is as fortunate as me. So I'm writing this book to try, not writing, I mean, I'm editing this book, collecting this book to try and get focus on this among women, consciousness that they have to get rid of values where, you know, if they are whistling on the road, it is not okay at a woman, you know. If they are telling a woman, you get messages on Facebook in Messenger, which is disgusting, that I like you, I like your smile. How dare you? And how dare they? You know, this is Eve teasing. To me, this is Eve teasing. So this is the kind of thing I am talking about, that this patriarchal mindset has to stop completely. So, you know, I'm not a women's libber. I'm not a feminist. At a point, I even declared myself an anti-feminist. But I believe in equality for all.
Actually, I have to opt you there. No, 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 no. I won't agree with you. You cannot say there's nothing like. In fact, there's nothing like gender equality in this world. It's not possible. You cannot have gender equality. Nothing is equal in this world. Perhaps you might say gender equity. I will agree with you. Gender balance should be what you should be talking about. But if you are talking about gender equality, I think that's unachievable. You can't achieve such a thing. Gender equity should be what you should be talking about. Balancing things instead of talking about gender equality. Nothing is equal. That's my own perspective of life, and I believe that it's universal. Or what do you think?
Equity is a better word, that we walk together. But yeah, there will be differences between men and women. There will be differences between, different people from different races, different cultures. But accepting that, we all move together.
Sorry to cut you. I want to also chip in this. Men also have their own story. Yeah, as you said, I agree with you. Yeah, that this Me Too movement, the buyers, men too have their own story. There are homes where men are oppressed there, but there's no platform for them like they give to women. So that's why I insisted on gender balance. So, but if you are talking about gender equality, it will be something you cannot achieve. But when you talk about gender balance, we can surely achieve that.
No, no, I absolutely agree with you. I was very against the Me Too movement, mind you, because I felt that it was only for a privileged class of women, and the people they were talking of, I have actually encountered them and worked with them. If they make a pass at you and you overlook it, these are not guys who are going to throw themselves at you, especially the journalists, you know. So you kind of leave that there. And even actors, some of them I have actually done theater with, one of them especially. And I know there's nothing wrong with him, you know. He is not a guy who piles on. If you tell him you're not interested, there is no way he will pile on. So all this thing I felt was highly politicized, and I didn't agree with what happened. It was a mess. And I was ashamed to see women do that. This is another part of feminism, which is also brought to light by writing. A lot of my friends are writing about it. And one of my friends coined a very funny word called belly button feminist. You know, these are feminists who will go around, you know, saying all kinds of odd things, and saying that, you know, they are greater, women are more equal. And I mean, all people are equal. I mean, today I live in a household with 3 men, and I can't say they treat me badly. They treat me very well. They treat me like a queen, you know. So, and I also treat them well. I think I treat them like princes. I don't treat them any badly either. But it is basically men giving respect. You should not be. I have actually, what you are saying, women, and I have seen in India women acting against women professionally at home, a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Oh, that's a bad relationship in India. Really bad. Because the mother-in-law tries to oppress, thinking of the oppression she faced when she was young. She tries to take it out on the daughter-in-law. The daughter-in-law, it's like a cycle. It's like a vicious cycle. So all this has to clear up. There are people, I remember after I got married, I was a journalist. So a lot of people had frightened my mother-in-law that, you know, she'd be very outspoken. My mother-in-law loves me very much, but she at that point was quite scared. So I remember somebody told her, "My God, your daughter-in-law is outspoken." You know, I said something somewhere, and I said, "Why should I not be outspoken? Why should I not speak out?" You know. So yeah, I mean, a daughter-in-law does not mean you put a scarf over your head and stand there like that, and that is pretty much how you know how people are react. So the where I vary with traditional feminists is they think men are the evil. I personally don't think men are the evil. I think the evil is in the society. And in that sense, I'm not a feminist. Just like as I would not like Hindus and Muslims to be fighting, I do not want men and women to be fighting. You know, my housekeeper in my home is a Muslim. I have close friends who are Muslims. So I don't see the big deal. I mean, they are humans. They are not. I mean, oh, Zafar is a Muslim. I'm a Hindu. You know, so he's the Kitab founder. So I mean, what the hell? Just what the hell? I mean, it's so stupid to have the kind of this thing.
Mitali, thank you. You have really explored your world and the world of people around you, the Asian world in particular, through your creative writing. We appreciate you for that. But before you go, we'd like you to send your final message to our viewers at home. So, what message do you have for them? In short, very brief.
I would say that um, let us all unite in a borderless world of the mind.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let us unite in a borderless world of idea and mind. This is the word of Mitali, a pregnant word filled with deep message. Unity is the only thing that can make this world to progress. This unity will surely cause chaos and violence in homes, in societies, and across the globe. We shall be meeting another writer from another part of the world in our next episode. So don't go away. Continue watching CBA TV and always watch Artflakes.